All right, everybody. Well, welcome to week 7. This particular week, what we're going to do is we're going to cover the industrial slash warehouse product type. Now, what you're going to learn throughout this particular week, essentially, is that the United States really doesn't manufacture as much as we used to. We have offloaded much of our manufacturing processes to overseas, lower cost of input countries where there's no workers' comp, there's no social security, there's no health insurance, there's no pensions, there's no nothing, nothing like we have here. So that's kind of an undergirding of understanding the industrial product type, because what the industrial product type is kind of slowly becoming in the United States is temporary warehousing, where rough or finished manufactured goods are coming into the United States at ports of entry, and then they are distributed across the United States and then temporarily housed and warehoused in facilities across the country. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of go over with you is kind of what we're doing here in Canvas. So let me share that with you right now. Okay. So in this particular week, right, I put together an industrial market analysis here. This was the PowerPoint that my real estate market analysis professor, Dr. Reina Civitanito, used when I was in the MRED program at USC. She was my market analysis professor, as I've told you many times throughout this quarter, and I have profound respect not only for her knowledge, but the way that she delivered it. She was an amazing teacher, and I still have great admiration for her. So I put together this here, but what I want to kind of tell you is this. The PowerPoint that I've generated is basically this right here, the industrial study guide. Now the PowerPoint's going to be certainly more in depth, but it's basically this study guide kind of expanded. So I'm not going to go over the PowerPoint actually, because I really want to spend time here, and I really want to kind of talk about this video that I put together with one of my former students whose name is Brandon Brawl. Brandon was one of my former USC students, and he and his father are developing the industrial product type, kind of essentially warehousing in the Inland Empire, out in San Bernardino County and Riverside County. The reason why there's a lot of industrial out there and temporary warehousing is primarily because of land availability and inexpensive land and proximity to distribution points, proximity to highways and expressways and freeways, proximity to rail stops and rail distribution lines. Okay, that is really important to understand industrial in this warehousing. Okay, so pay a little bit of attention here. Watch the video. I've posted here an office and industrial report for the latest period that we have data for 2024 on the industrial product type in Los Angeles. So it just basically shows you some leasing activity, and then here's an AI generated summary pardon me, of this industrial report. Now, I've also put together here a little practice quiz, which I think might be kind of fun, right? That took the PowerPoint and then created a practice quiz from the PowerPoint, right? So watch. What is the primary purpose of this company, my former student's Brandon's company, industrial development? Well, clearly it's going to be trucking, logistics, and fulfillment storage. This has a lot to do with the industrial product type. So you just click it here and then say next question. You'll know if you got it right or you got it wrong. This is not going to be graded, so don't worry about it. Okay, it's just kind of a fun little quiz the AI put together, the robot, to kind of test your knowledge of the industrial product type after you've read the Brett chapter, after you've taken a look at the PowerPoint, and then clearly read this summary that I'll show you in just a second. So Rosewood Development is involved in the in the oil rigging business. Well, that would be false. So click that, click next question, and you'll know if you got it right or you got it wrong. Okay. Now this one here, don't worry about this, because the founder of the Master of Real Estate Development program at USC is irrelevant. But that's one of the questions that the robot here picked up from the deck. So if you get it wrong, it's no big deal. Okay. Just understand the basics of industrial. Now here we have a discussion question for this week. And as discussed in class, the industrial product type is not primarily concerned much any longer with the actual industrial or manufacturing output. That is true. These days in the US, the industrial product type is primarily about what? And I discussed that with Brandon in the video, and it comes out in the PowerPoint deck that I put together from Raina. That basically tracks the industrial product chapter in the Brett text. Okay. Now, one other thing I wanted to show you here is this one right here, the REMA Industrial Study Guide, which I think is going to be very helpful for you guys. So let's take a look at it. Make it a little bit larger. So I prepared this study guide from the Brett chapter on industrial and from the PowerPoint that I put together that's posted in Canvas. Now you'll note that the PowerPoint that I did can be just, the basic PowerPoint, or I also have a whiz-bang multimedia presentation of the PowerPoint. Either way, you're going to get the same info. But this study guide is put together from that deck, okay, the PowerPoint deck. For example, what are the key characteristics that define the industrial property markets? Well, functionally heterogeneous mean they're basically interchangeable and flex space. Large non-speculative component. See, in residential real estate, and sometimes even in retail, there's a speculative component to the development where they anticipate growth. They want to capture future growth. Well, in the industrial or warehousing product type, it's not really that speculative. It's actually build to suit, or what's called derived demand. So in economics, there's a concept called supply push or demand pull. We're talking about the supply pipeline, whatever the supply pipeline is, whether it's widgets, whether it's sneakers, whether it's shirts, whether it's microphones, whatever the case may be, there's going to be a supply pipeline that's ultimately going to deliver that product to the marketplace, right? So if the manufacturer is pushing the supply, that's usually low price. They're price competitive. If there's demand pull, then there's actual derived demand in the marketplace that is pulling that supply through the pipeline. So the primary demand in industrial, the driver of demand, is demand in the marketplace for all the products, whatever the products might be. That is known as derived demand. Okay. Now, in terms of industrial property market cycles, they really tend to follow the business cycle because we're talking about derived demand. Okay. So those are the likely characteristics of the industrial property market. Okay. Here. The next question in the study guide is this, right? What factors drive demand for industrial real estate? Well, growth in the industrial output or employment. So that again is supply pull. This is demand in the marketplace for these products, whatever the products are. So that is primarily what drives demand. Shifts in real after-tax cost of corporate capital. There could be tax benefits or tax consequences to building or developing industrial real estate. There might be some tax benefits to try and encourage manufacturing to come back to the United States. So that's what that means. Replacement demand. Lots of factories or warehouses depreciate clearly over time. Some warehouse space might be inefficient. Some warehouse space these days might even be too small, right? With the growth of e-commerce, this is what is helping drive demand for industrial real estate, right? Growth in e-commerce. It says here, there was a study by Coldwell Banker, Richard Ellis, I think, right? CBRE. And what they did is they determined that each incremental $1 billion growth in e-commerce is going to require additional distribution space. So I think it's every $1 billion in the growth of e-commerce creates a demand for 1 million more square feet of industrial or warehouse space. How does the demand and supply for industrial property differ than other real estate markets? Well, industrial is a derived demand from the supply pull. The demand for the demand for products in the marketplace is then going to pull the supply through the industrial or the warehousing space. And so the more pull, the more space that is needed. Okay? There is a non-speculative component to industrial. Industrial doesn't tend to get built unless there's a demand that's derived from the marketplace. Or if there's significant depreciation, then some of the warehouse space or some of these factories are demolished. They might be rebuilt. They might be modernized in some way. So that's the depreciation component. Industrial cycles versus real estate cycles. The industrial product type follows the business cycle. The business cycle can be doing quite well, but then a residential real estate cycle or a retail cycle might not be doing so well. Again, industrial follows the business cycle, right? The replacement demand, that's depreciation. And then really kind of what's driving a lot of industrial and warehouse space demand is really the growth here in e-commerce. Cyber shopping. What do they call it? It used to be Black Friday and now it's a Cyber Monday, right? Where people used to shop for a lot of Christmas or holiday items the day after Thanksgiving. Now they're waiting actually to Monday to buy everything, to buy a lot of stuff online. So why would somebody want to go to Walmart and risk a mob or like a group mosh pit just to pick up a television where you can buy it online in the safety and the convenience of your own home? This is what's driving a lot of this industrial demand, this warehousing space. Now, another thing that I want you to pay attention to is this, that as of the second quarter of 2024, United States retail sales totaled yearly about $1.8 trillion. And of that, e-commerce is only about $261 billion, or about 16% of all retail sales. But here's what's going on. The overwhelming majority, clearly, of retail sales is occurring in bricks and mortar physical stores. People still like to go places. They still like to touch the product. They still like to try on the sweater. They like to try on the sneakers before they buy them to make sure that they fit. So there is a lot of retail sales that is still occurring in the bricks and mortar environment. One of the things about bricks and mortar, as you remember from our retail chapter, is experiential retail. So if there's a retail facility that is providing more than just a product, but an experience, like the green trolley at the Grove or the water element at the Grove, then people still like to go out and experience those things. So there's lots of still traffic going to bricks and mortar stores. But watch. Bricks and mortar stores sales are increasing, but not at the same clip, not at the same pace, not at the same rate as e-commerce. E-commerce is growing much more rapidly than bricks and mortar sales because they're still going out and shopping at bricks and mortar, physical stores, but a lot of people are increasing their shopping from home. I mean, listen, I think it's nuts out there going out in public. My partner and I talk about this a lot. I would rather stay at home and just grab something online often than going out to a store and experiencing all the hassle of parking, all the hassle of rude people, all the hassle of sales associates who most of the time don't know what they're talking about or doing. And I can grab the product online and not have to experience that insanity. So this is one of the reasons why e-commerce is increasing. So pay particular attention to the study guide because it really summarizes the chapter in Brett as well as the PowerPoint that I put together for you guys here. Let me show you one more time. Right here, okay? This is the static PowerPoint. This is the multimedia PowerPoint. So pay attention to the study guide. Okay, that's going to really help. All right, everybody. So that really concludes kind of like our video overview for week 7. This is the industrial product type. Again, this study guide is really going to help you kind of keep up with what's going on here. So pay attention to the work this particular week. Enjoy this week on industrial. It's kind of a fun product type. There is a lot of pushback, though, from developing industrial space. If you've been keeping up with the news, for example, in San Bernardino and Riverside counties, particularly that inland empire, there's a lot of growth in the warehouse space, which is creating a lot of truck trips. Neighbors are starting to complain about a lot of exhaust fumes and pollution from the trucks, the shipping trucks and stuff. People are starting to complain about all the noise, the dust that's kicked up from all these trucks and so forth. So we'll see where it goes, but there can be pushback from the industrial product type. But remember, it's really about temporary storage anymore. It's not really a lot about making things. We'll see now if that changes moving forward. Right? So enjoy week 7 on the industrial product type. I'll see you next week in class.